Hey guys, how are you? It's Zach from Zach Loves Books. Thanks for tuning in again. Don't mind my throat. I'm feeling I have this lingering cough thing. It won't go away. So it sounds worse than it is, but I'm gonna get through this post. Um, Yesterday, it was really an exciting day for me because I went to a book sale, a church book sale I go to annually, and I was so excited for these kind of book sales because books are expensive, and so we can go to a book sale and you can pick up something for like $2 and walk out with two bags of books, 20 books for like $40, $2 a piece. And that's amazing because it's hard to get books at that price. And new books, old books, rare books. So yeah, let's dig into some of the my first book haul on this channel. And I like doing this kind of post because um, it's easier to do a post on books that I intend to read and I'm excited about than books that I've actually read, because I'm a slow reader, and juggling life and work and know raising a family all at the same time and reading at the same time, it's tough to get through the books. I wish I could read them by osmosis, which, if you know science, means I wish I could just read the book and absorb it through my skin and then talk about it. But nevertheless, it's good to go to a book sale, come back with a pile of books, and be able to talk about the ones that I'm really excited about. So let's start. So you're gonna see from the pile that I brought and that I show you, like I just read all across the board. I don't just try to stick to one genre, one type of book. I don't just stick to fiction or nonfiction. But here's the first one that I'm really excited about: Janice, Her Life and Music by Holly George Warren. I don't know if any one of you knows, if you know Janis Joplin. She was a singer from the 70s. I think she was part of the whole Woodstock gang. If you're into that. My dad used to play her tapes in the car when I was a kid, so that's how I got turned on to her music. Her music's great, by the way. Just check out Janis Joplin hits, on YouTube. Listen to a few of her songs. You may get hooked if that's your style. Um, Kind of rockish, like, but 70s. Like, if you're into that thing, I think she was one of the, you know, part of the hippie movement. Very talented. Died young. I think she died of a drug overdose. But I have another one of her memoirs, but I think this is the official one. And I've been waiting for this one because, it's $26 in the store. Picked it up for $2. So that's one I'm excited about. Hopefully, I'll get to it this year because I want to be able to read it, get back to you guys about it. Star Side of Bird Hill. I'm heavy into books about the Caribbean, fiction, nonfiction. I have a huge section of Caribbean fiction or Caribbean fiction, Caribbean, whatever you say. Um, I just like the setting. Anything set in the Caribbean, I have a love affair with the Caribbean. I've been to Barbados a couple of times, so that's why I picked this up. I love Barbados. I've been to Jamaica. I've been on a Southern Caribbean cruise, Eastern Caribbean cruise. So anything that's set in the islands that's not really in the Americanized Caribbean islands, I love, because when you can get authentically culturally Caribbean things and chattel houses and the pastel colored houses and just the palm trees and all that. I love reading about that kind of setting. This is about two sisters that live in Brooklyn. They're teenagers, and they go back to Barbados, and they get dropped off there, by their father. They stay there for a couple of years, and then he suddenly shows up out of nowhere to wants to bring them back to Brooklyn. So, I guess things happen in between, but I picked it up because it's set in Barbados, and it's gonna be a good beach read for the next time I go. Man Up, reimagining modern manhood. My family's from Ecuador, so I come from like Latin American country, South American country. In Latin American countries, there's a big emphasis on manning up and being macho. So we come from a macho culture. So I've always been, now that I'm raising a son, you sometimes start to question uh, how to raise him properly, how to, wanting him to be a man, what kind of man do you want him to be? These are the kind of things you come up with when you become a father to a son. And depending on what culture you're from, raising someone to be a man is going to mean different things. So I've always been looking for a book and different types of books that talk about manhood. So this is by Carlos Andres Gomez. So obviously of Latin American descent. So something hopefully I'll be able to relate to, and yeah, maybe I'll get some good tips on here on how to raise my son. Between coming from Latin American roots and living here in North America, Canada. So the art of selfishness. I'm into the self-help books. So uh, I've never heard of this. I mean, the pages are like yellow, pretty much, not even white anymore. This is like from 1978. I don't know why I picked it up. I just kind of don't want to pick up the cliche self-help books. And the title caught me, by David Seabury. Hopefully, I can pick. If I just pick up one gem or two out of this, then it's worth it to me. If I pick up any gems from this, I'll let you guys know, and let you know if they've changed my life or not. This is a classic, Mindset: The Psychology of Success by Carol S. Dweck, PhD. This is a classic in self-help book circles. I've actually read this before a long time ago, um, but it's hard to find. Um, I don't think it's in print anymore. Actually, you might be able to find this in your local bookstore. Um, why I picked this up again was because, one, I don't think I have my copy anymore. Two, my son's teacher actually and his school actually push a lot of mindset principles, changing your mindset. It's sort of like a self help rah rah, like you can do it kind of thing, but it is based on real psychology. So I want to revisit it just to see, you know, um, the kind of things that they're also using in my son's school to help him. And yeah, great book from what I can remember. Um, Also has a blurb here, or an endorsement by Poe Bronson, um, who was one of my favorite authors. Not really prolific anymore, but he wrote The Nurture Shock. So if he endorses this book, then it's probably good. Mhm. Claire Keegan, Small Things Like These, fiction. Normally, I don't read much fiction, but I'm actually reading this based on the recommendation of another booktuber, Nick from Books Are Sick. If you're out there, Nick, or you're watching, thanks for the recommendation. I know you pushed Claire Keegan, so I think she's an Irish author. I've heard good things about it, and it looks like a short read. Yeah, so I'm gonna read that. Get back to you on that as well. Forrest Gump. If you've seen the movie, it was based on the original book by Winston Groom. I love the movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I watch it over and over again. So, you know what they say, book is always better than the movie. And even, looking through a couple of pages of it yesterday when I picked it up at the book sale, I can already see some lines of dialogue that I never heard in the movie. with Bubba Gump and things like that. So um, I love the movie. I know I'll probably love the book. So when I get to it, I'll report back and let you guys know what I thought. Evil, the science behind humanity's dark side, by Dr. Julius Shaw. I guess this is what is evil about that we find so compelling? It says here on the back, from obsessions with serial killers to violence in pop culture, so it's true. I mean, what do we like about horror movies, slasher flicks, all this stuff? It looked interesting, so can't go wrong for $2. Um, up my alley. So I don't know if I'll get to this anytime soon, but you guys might be interested. Check it out. Looks fairly brand new, $24. I don't know what year this is. Here, 2019. Should be able to find this in your local bookstore. Every Day is for the Thief by Teju Cole. When I was at the book sale, I never head to the fiction section first. I always head to other sections, and then I head to fiction last. And then I just kind of pick things up that look interesting. Has palm trees on it, so hey, since I'm up, I like Caribbean fiction, and I see palm trees, I pick it up, I read the back. Um, Set in Nigeria, you know, probably has to do with crime, probably a redemptive story of some sort, a short read. I've heard of Teju Cole before, but I didn't even get to read the back of this. But it says, from Manhattan back to the streets of Lagos. He returns to Lagos after 15 years. Um, I've always wanted to read books set in Africa, and not just anywhere in Africa, but Nigeria of late, because of a lot of the music coming out of there and things like that. And I just find it intriguing. So I have another Teju Cole book somewhere. This is a short read. If I get back to it, hopefully it's good, and I get back and I get through it, and I get back to you. I hope I enjoy it. If you've read it before, let me know what you think. All Day is a Long Time, David Sanchez, another fiction pick for me. Beautiful cover, you know, the sunset there, and it's dark fiction. From what I read here, I mean, it reads almost like nonfiction. It's about a guy named David. He has a mind that never stops running. He reads fiction like Dante and Melville, Hemingway. Um, but he lives in Florida, and then he runs away to pursue a girl, and he discovers crack cocaine for the first time. And I guess he goes through, crack cocaine addiction. Probably goes through a bender. Um, yeah, tries his hand at sobriety, and I guess it just sounds right up my alley. Drugs, crime, Florida, dark fiction, crack cocaine. We'll see. I mean, this one costs $3 and not $2, but still, looks fairly new. And let's see what year. 2022. It's only 2 years old. You could probably get this at the bookstore here in Canada. It would cost $32. But let me know if you've read it. When I read it, I'll report back about it. Oh, so much stuff. So much stuff. Now some nonfiction. How to Have a Good Day by Carolyn Webb. The essential toolkit for productive day at work and beyond. I love stuff like this. Any little hacks I can get on how to have a better day, more productive day. And this is the type of thing where you don't have to read it from front to back. Just dive into it anywhere. Pick up a tip or two here. If it makes your life better, easier, more productive, then it's worth it. $2. Another one, The Art of Doing, and many more, by Camille Sweeney and Josh Goshfield. What really separates the best from the rest, it says on the back. Yeah, another productivity book, How Superachievers Do What They Do and How They Do It So Well. Can't go wrong for $2 from $17. It looks fairly new too. Yeah, what year? 2013. Still relevant. Not as old as that other one that I picked up from 1978. More fiction. Fruit of the Lemon by Andrea Levy. 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 Let me know which one's right in the comments. Andrea Levy is also, I think, probably of Caribbean descent. I see her book all the time, the long song, which is like about I think a girl that immigrates to from Jamaica to London and back, or her experience, I guess maybe as a maid. But this is another one about someone who returns to Jamaica. So, like I said, I don't know if you've read it, Andrea Levy's The Long Song. I don't wait. It's not The Long Song. It's called Something Island. Fact check me if you will. Andrea Levy. She writes Caribbean fiction, but I've never heard of this one, and I am a fan of Jamaican and Caribbean fiction. Let me know what you think if you've read it. Some thrill lit. I know thrill lit's popular, especially if it grabs you, but this is about a guy who I think it's a guy who goes to work every day on a ferry, and then the person that he gets on the ferry with every day uh, disappears, and he gets pinned for it, or he's a suspect in it, and they try to pin it on him. Um, Takes place on a ferry, which is like similar to a cruise ship for me. I like stuff based on the water, and Thrill It by Louise Candlish, with the endorsement there by Ruth Ware. I don't know if you've read Ruth Ware, but she has a couple of good books too. The It Girl, I think, and something else, the Miss Westerly book, which are good reads from people that I've read. But this isn't by Ruth Ware, Louise Candlish. So if it sounds interesting to you, check it out. Or if you read it, let me know. Here's kind of a cool one. Interpreting children's drawings. This looks old. I mean, you know, the sun's kind of taking the color off the spine. This looks like it may have, been in some kind of teacher's pile at some school, but it's got children's drawings on the front. This is really cool. I actually saw somebody else looking at it, but it tells you how to interpret what kids draw and what the drawings mean. This is old by looking at the author on the back. But yeah, I love stuff like this. My kid's 8, so he's drawing stuff. I'm gonna look through this, look at his drawings, and see what's going on in his little head. Another one, The Reading Solution, making your child a reader for life. You know, reading's really important for kids. Reading is important for anybody. So if you have a child, I find that these kind of books sometimes help. Once again, just dive in anywhere. If you can get a tip or two that helps your child read or become a reader, then they work. And these kind of books are like have timeless wisdom included in them. Yeah, I think that's about it. That's most of them that I picked up yesterday. So let me know if you read any of them, you know, what you thought. If there's anyone you think that I should read first before one of the others. If you've picked up anything good lately, and we'll see you on the next time, guys. All right.